Hey everyone, it's Sammy from Fore, and I spent the weekend teeing off in Everybody's Golf on the PS4. Now, if you've maybe been following the channel or the site in the past, you'll know that I'm a gigantic Everybody's Golf fan, so to say I was excited for this one is probably a bit of an understatement. So I kind of wanted to put together a bit of a video review for you today in case you're interested in picking the game up. It is out today, I think, in North America, and then tomorrow in Europe, but to be honest, I know a lot of you in the UK got your copies shipped early. I don't know why that was, but Amazon just seemed to send everything out last week. Anyway, I'm going a little bit off topic, so watch on for my Everybody's Golf review, and do remember to like the video and subscribe if you're so inclined. Okay, let's get into it. So Everybody's Golf on the PS4 at its heart is a very familiar game. If you've played an Everybody's Golf game before, you'll know pretty much exactly what to expect. But if you haven't, it's an arcade golf game. The gameplay is extremely simple. It relies on a kind of 3-click shot meter where you basically set your power and your impact, basically, and that's all there is to it. But there's deceptive depth in this gameplay structure, because as you progress you're able to add spin to shots and do all sorts of other cool nifty little tricks, which add some complexity to the gameplay and help you to increase your score. Now, it's very colourful, it's a very fun, vibrant game, but the big change with this one, and this is the most ambitious entry in the Everybody's Golf series, which is honestly, it's incredible. It's been running for 20 years, but this is definitely the most ambitious entry, not necessarily because of the gameplay, but because it has a massive online multiplayer focus. Now, I know this worries a lot of people. We still see people on Fore in the comment section that say they don't want to play multiplayer in all sorts of different games. The cool thing about Everybody's Golf is it has these kind of open world courses. So what happens is you join a lobby, which is a course, and you're free to explore that course. You can play rounds of golf on it, you can interact with other people, you can go fishing, you can ride your golf cart, you can do all sorts of things, and you don't actually have to communicate with other people if you don't want to. Now, obviously there are options there. If you want to set up a match, or you want to, you know, just talk to other people, emote with them and stuff like that, you can do that. But if you don't want to do any of that, if you prefer playing sort of solo, you can go on your lonesome and explore the courses and play the rounds and all that sort of good stuff, and you don't actually have to interact with anyone. But I think the online focus is cool. Even if you're one of those people that is a bit of a loner, that is a bit introverted, the online focus is cool because it brings life to the courses. Like, you can see other people taking shots, you can see other people fishing, there's all sorts of things going on in the course, and it breathes life into the game. It makes it feel like you're part of a wider community, which is something that I really appreciate. Also, I will say, like, the open world courses, they give the courses a more realistic, I'm not sure what the word is, but the courses feel real. So in past Everybody's Golf games, you would just be whisked away from hole to hole, and while there was sort of a consistent art style across the courses, consistent environmental themes and stuff like that, they felt like islands out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't feel like a proper course, whereas here you can actually sort of hit the ball off. Maybe you miss-hit the ball and it careers off away from the fairway you were aiming for, but it might land on a fairway from another hole, if that makes sense, and then you're free to sort of, you know, correct yourself and stuff like that. So it's quite fun in that sort of sense. And also, the open world format paves the way for a new multiplayer mode, which is called Turf War. Now, this is a brilliant mode, and it really accentuates the advantages of switching to an open world format. So basically the way this works is you play in teams of 2, so you're a red team and a blue team, you split up, and what you have to do is sort of navigate the open world course and set the best score you can on on holes, on particular holes. Each time you get a par or above, you score points for your team, and whoever's got the most points on each active hole gets a point at the end of the game, and the one with the most points at the end of the game wins, if that makes sense. Now the cool thing about this is there's a kind of tactical element to it. So you need to communicate with your team in order to find the best order to tackle the holes, and also you need to sort of, because you have to manually navigate to the holes, you have to run to them or drive your golf cart to them, you need to find the optimal order of what holes you're going to tackle. So it's no good going for sort of hole 1 and then hole 9 if they're on the opposite ends of the course, if that makes sense, because you're going to have to run a massive distance and you're losing a lot of time there. So you need to maybe go hole 1, hole 4, hole 5, hole 6, because that's the best way to get around the course. But it does highlight a problem with this game, and that is balancing. Now, in this Turf War mode, there are warp points, and these warp points, you get 3 warp points by default, and they allow you to immediately jump to another hole, which would add some more tactical depth to the mode if that was where it stayed. But the problem is, you can collect warp tokens, you can find them around the course, and if you've got lots of these warp tokens, you can just warp from hole to hole. And this seems like a massive oversight to me, because it feels like the game is kind of undoing what makes it fun. The mode is undoing what makes it fun. Like, the novelty here is that you have to manually navigate the course and get from hole to hole in order to, in the quickest possible time, in order to make sure, you know, you're in an advantageous position to get as many points and take as many shots as you possibly can. But by adding in these warp modes, this warp token thing, it breaks the mode a little bit for me, because if you've got lots of warp tokens, you instantly have an advantage over someone that doesn't, and that doesn't seem fair to me. It kind of undoes the level playing field that the game has. And furthering on from that, there are other imbalance issues in this game. So the progression system basically sees you upgrading your clubs with every shot you take. If you take a lot of long distance shots with a particular club, for example, you'll be able to increase its shot distance over time. So the more that you play, the better your clubs become, the more efficient your clubs become. But the problem is, like, the playing field isn't balanced online. So if you've been playing the game for 50 hours, you have an instant advantage over someone that's been playing for 2 hours. Now, to be fair, that's not going to make up for sloppy play. If you're a bad player, it doesn't matter whether you can tee off, you know, an extra 50 yards compared to someone who's a good player. The good player will probably still win. But it is a bit weird that the game is balanced in that way. It doesn't sit quite right with me. It doesn't seem totally fair. I think a good example is Injustice 2, which had all the loot. You got all the loot to customize your character and stuff, and in single player that actually increased your stats, but when you took it on multiplayer they balanced it across the board, and I feel like that's kind of how it should be in everybody's golf. But to be fair, it depends how you're going to play it. Now, like I said earlier, there is a lot of depth to this game. It is deceptively deep, but it is still a casual arcade fun game, you know. And I wasn't like getting irate over other people being able to hit the ball a little bit further than I was when I was trying out the Turf War mode over the weekend. Like, it doesn't really bother me, because this to me is more of a fun, relaxing, time-wasting game, if you like. I don't really treat it as a competitive game, but it still does seem a bit weird, and there are a lot of hints to microtransactions that I haven't been able to fully explore yet. It's one of the reasons I haven't scored the game on the site yet, is because I'm not sure how all the microtransactions and stuff work yet, and you know, you'll probably have a better idea of that when you watch this video. But at the time I'm recording it, I'm a little bit nervous about the microtransactions. I don't know whether you can buy those warp tokens from the PlayStation Store, for example, so that's just something to keep in mind. That said, this is a game that's clearly been designed around constant updates, and so they maybe kinda justify the microtransactions a little bit if they're going to keep adding content to it. So one of the cool things about the game is if you take part in like a daily a daily challenge, a daily leaderboard. So you play a 9-hole round of golf and you're ranked based on your position against the rest of the game's community. If you play that and you do successfully, you do well, you'll get some new items which allow you to customize your character, which is cool. But the weird thing again about this game is the single player structure. So there is a single player campaign here. You work through various tournaments to get XP. As you get XP, you're able to take on boss characters which unlock loads of cosmetic items and stuff like that. But you really have to grind, and the weird thing is, like, I'm about 50 rounds in. I've maybe played 15 to 20 hours now, and I've only unlocked 2 of the 5 courses in the game that are there at launch, which is bonkers to me, because you can't visit the online courses, you can't visit the lobbies without unlocking them in single player first. So if it takes this long to unlock them, I can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of people on the servers on the final course, because you have to spend like 20, 30, 40 hours to unlock it. And that seems bizarre to me, because this is a game built around community. It seems like stuff is really locked away and hidden away. And also, to add to that, like, if you want to play offline multiplayer, which you can play past the controller. You only need one DualShock 4. That's really fun, really simple to set up. You get loads of rules that you can add and parameters and stuff like that to make it more accessible or more difficult. But you can only use courses that you've unlocked in single player, which means, again, like, you'll either only have access to one course, or you're gonna have to put in like 30, 40, 50 hours to unlock everything so that you can play some offline matches, which, again, it just seems like a weird, silly oversight to me. But I will say, like, I'm still massively enjoying the game. The gameplay is spot on. One thing I didn't mention earlier is that the putting has been changed. Putting is now a 3-click system as opposed to a 2-click system that it was in previous games. So that adds a little bit more pressure to the putting. And, you know, the visuals aren't great. The character creator is actually really powerful, really cool. You can create everything from like chibi characters to more realistically proportioned characters. And they do seem to work across one, you know, it feels consistent. It feels like they all belong in the same art style despite them being so different. Visually, it's not great. This footage that I'm showing is running on the PS4 Pro. It does look better than I remember the beta looking, but like the frame rate's a bit weird. So on the PS4 Pro, you can pick a 60 frames per second option, but it seems to switch between 30 and 60 just at will, and it'll sometimes drop lower than either of those. It's a bit all over the place. There's loads of like aliasing issues, loads of jaggies, and it's not the best looking game you'll ever see, but it is vibrant, it is very colourful, and it is very cheerful and chirpy. And I really like the presentation in these games, where people will constantly speak words of encouragement in your ear and all sorts of stuff like that. It is a fun series. It's got a very unique identity to it, and that's definitely still present here despite the changes they've made. But yeah, those are my impressions of Everybody's Golf so far. Do let me know in the comment section below whether you're going to pick it up, whether you have any questions. There's also a full sort of written review on pushsquare.com, but like I say, I didn't score it yet. I wanted to play on sort of the retail servers and stuff like that. I am ready to review it more or less, but I wanted to unlock more stuff, and I did want to check the multiplayer on, you know, final retail servers. So I have held back the score for now, but yeah, these impressions probably aren't going to change. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Are you a long time Everybody's Golf fan? And yeah, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and thank you so much for watching.